Welcome to our Vault Shorts. These are shorter episodes highlighting programs and resources here in our Billings community.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, community development, and workforce development. Learn more at bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org.
When unexpected events occur, which of course they always do, the only real constant in life is change. Most people go down one of two roads. They either respond or they react.
When life throws us a curveball, why is it that some of us react immediately while others respond more thoughtfully?
Well, essentially, it comes down to how we handle emotions in the moment. When we react, it's like a knee-jerk response driven by immediate emotions. On one hand, responding involves pausing, processing your emotions, and then planning a course of action.
I really like that. I think that as I've been within Big Sky, I've learned a lot of this from Steve, and Steve is our boss, our executive director at BSED.
Season 1.
Yeah, he's in our season 1. But he, sometimes when there's sticky things that come up, or maybe they seem sticky in the moment, instead of reacting, it's sleep on it, take a minute, sleep on it, and then respond thoughtfully.
Absolutely.
Which we'll get into. So, Kayla, can you just explain to us a little bit of the difference between reacting and responding?
So reacting follows a pattern of panic and then proceeding. And tying this back into business owners, we see that sometimes when something unexpected occurs and they just make a quick decision on how am I going to handle this? And that could be, I'm going to take out a loan for $200,000 and then I'm going to get myself into a pickle because I actually couldn't cash flow that. Or I'm going to ask my family for money and then I don't have it to pay back. And there's just other things that you could have done.
I think we see it too, just to add into that a little bit, within organizations, with employees and situations that come up.
Absolutely.
I think too, right?
Have you ever gotten an email and you're like, oh my God, and then you just respond really fast
and you're like, no,
I sent that.
If it triggers so much emotion, maybe sit on it.
Or I didn't read the whole thing and the answer that I just shot back to them was in it.
Right. It's more reactive.
Exactly. It's quick but impulsive. Mm-hmm. Responding, however, follows a more deliberate pattern. So there's the process is called the 4 Ps, and it's pause, process, plan, and then proceed. It creates a space between the event and our actions, allowing for a more thoughtful response. So exactly how you said, we're going to pause. We're going to process it overnight. 24-hour rule, right? Charles Fred with True Space, he says this, have 24-hour rule, process it, then plan what you're going to do, and then move forward.
Right.
So write that email out 5 or 6 times. Brene Brown says that. It's your, what does she call it? Your shitty first draft.
Yeah, and maybe address it to yourself. Just so nothing accidentally
so you don't actually send it, right? So
or
go
put
through
it in
that
Word document
and really refine what your response is going to be, and then get it back out there, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the same thing. Tying it back to business owners, you could get a review that you think is really unfair
on social or
Google. And you immediately want to get on there and defend yourself, right? And so, how many times have we seen a business owner that was like, hey, Karen, that's actually not what happened here. And you did this. And then it's like this fight back and forth.
Instead of maybe reaching out to them
directly and saying, hey, I'm so sorry that you had this experience. How can we together make it better? Exactly.
Taking some ownership, right, of the situation. Maybe you weren't at fault at all and they just are venting online. But I think that rest and respond is, just taking ownership of it as the owner of the business or the person that's managing the Google review of, oh my gosh, we're so sorry you had that experience. How can we make it better next time?
Exactly. And I'm not saying don't defend yourself, but I'm just saying,
is that the hill you want to die on kind of situation?
Exactly. Yeah. Pause, process, and then proceed.
And we're talking about bigger issues, right? We're not just talking about like the daily emails of, we're talking about bigger things that come up that are a little more impactful than your daily emails or
they shake you to your
core. Your little projects. And I think something I always tell the team I oversee, and it's different in other work, right? If we were in a hospital setting, it would be different, but we're working a little bit with our livelihoods, but not actual lives. So sometimes when we think something's a really big deal internally or externally, just letting that pause moment happen, reflecting on it, and then proceeding will be more thoughtful, impactful, and really get those better results for both parties.
Absolutely. And so you bring up the medical field. They are trained to respond in emergency situations. They're not trained to react in emergency situations. Mm-hmm. So they are trained to make very quick, strategic decisions on people's lives. Correct.
So even speaking medical, another one that I bring up quite a bit is disaster and emergency coordination.
Your mom does that.
My mom does that, but every community county has one, or maybe some smaller rural counties maybe share a person, but they have plans outlined for a lot of things that could potentially, hopefully never happen. Tornado, huge storm, fire.
We never thought we'd have one here in Billings.
And the pandemic was a really good learning experience of even with modern medicine. If that happens again, there's plans now in place to help communities respond and get through that in a more thoughtful way.
Absolutely.
So there's things. So Kayla, are there techniques that we can use to manage our reactions?
Yeah. So there's a technique, and it's called affect labeling, and it involves identifying and labeling your emotions in the moment. So research has shown that this simple practice can significantly reduce stress and help us feel more at ease, which then helps us shift into being fused with our emotions to a more thoughtful state, enabling us to respond rather than react.
I really like that.
So
being thoughtful, reflecting a little bit.
Absolutely. And that goes back, like I said, to the 4 Ps, right? Like you're just going to pause and kind of process what's going on. And that's your reflection on that. Like, how did that make you feel? How do you want to move forward with it? What's the best course of action without actually reacting and just...
And I think you bring up another good point that it reminds me too is if you're leading a team or a company, an organization, or you have your own small business and you're in that leadership or management type role, people are looking to you in those moments.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we don't know what to do, but I think processing it and being that calm light through any of those situations is so impactful and helpful to your team because they watch how you handle it and they'll learn from your behaviors of watching you, but then they're also trusting you in those situations because they know by how you handle it that you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. It's like kids are always watching, and they say that, right? Like kids are always watching you to see how you're going to respond or react in different scenarios. That's the same thing with your staff. They're looking to you for leadership and guidance. And if you sit there and you be really reactionary on different things.
And everything's a big deal and everything's like this dramatic affair, that they don't want to be around that.
They don't want to be around it, but it also teaches them that's how they should respond. And so really just sitting there and going, okay, we got this piece of feedback. Let's all talk it through and figure out how we should proceed.
And sometimes it's a great opportunity, thinking even of the Google review. If it's not true or if there's some truth to it, hypothetically in this made up scenario, it's a learning opportunity for you and your team or your people involved to really just take that, reflect, and maybe it's improving a little bit of a process or something within in your organization, and it's a chance to do some reflection and maybe improve that thing too that person brought to your attention.
Exactly.
And so you're like, oh my gosh, thank you for bringing that to my attention. We will fix that immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can give you, and then it can also empower your staff to respond appropriately in situations that maybe you don't have to step in every single time because they know how you would respond, right?
And it's an organizational
Standard
just culture standard
yeah.
that this is how we react to these things. I really like that. So what are some practical steps that our listeners can take to shift from reacting to responding in challenging situations that they're facing?
So I know I sound like a broken record and I keep bringing up the 4 Ps.
No, but I like it. We'll keep it.
Yes. Oh, they say, would you have to hear it? Well, nowadays it's like you have to hear it like 13 times for it to stick in your head.
Yeah,
is that like
and
the
our
statistic?
attention span is like 40 seconds or
40,
something.
yeah,
It's
so-
insane. Don't quote me on that. It's not verified, factual, but I just heard it somewhere.
Hopefully we've kept your attention this whole time. But the 4 Ps, pause, process, plan, and proceed. So take a moment to gather yourself, label your emotions with that affect labeling, make a plan, and then take action. With practice, this approach becomes second nature, allowing us to make better decisions and maintain a sense of stability amidst life's craziness, chaos that is always occurring.
Yeah, I like that. And so as we wrap up today's short episode, remember that how we choose to respond to life's unexpected events can make all the difference. By practicing mindfulness and embracing the 4 Ps, we can navigate challenges with greater resilience and clarity. So thank you guys for tuning in to today. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at the vault_201, and of course on Facebook too, but we're more active on Instagram. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Remember to stay mindful and respond thoughtfully. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye. Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky economic development.org.